Okay, I'm recording the class now on this computer. So I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share, and I'm going to show you guys some things that I have on the internet that I can share with you. One, I did an outline for our sessions together. So let me go. I also did a little slideshow. Let me go back here. And let me go here. All right, so let's go over our calendar of events for our class. So here we are, Cfeva Collage class. So there are going to be 10 class periods total for the Collage mixed media under the theme home. January 10th was our introduction where we kind of did a meet and greet and everybody said hello. We kind of got a little bit of ideas about maybe the content or the subject matter of the class. January 24th is today, and we're going to do a slideshow on some collage artists. Hamina and I both picked out a couple artists that we liked, and we prepared a little visual slideshow to share with you and some questions to ask you about collage and mixed media. I also wrote on here for January 24th that we could focus on picking your topic. So your topic could be the theme or thinking of the personal interest and subject matter that tells your story about your home. What does home mean to you? Some of the things that I thought of when I thought of this question was the location of my home, being my neighborhood, right? The history of my home and or my neighborhood, memorabilia in my home that I've collected, my hobbies, maybe my work life, my family, meaning either portraits of my family or some type of illustration or description of my family members. And then once you've decided on the subject matter that you want to focus on, then maybe how are you going to describe these items? How are you going to describe your story? So I also wanted to bring up the idea of collecting as art, and maybe the idea of starting to sort and edit your memorabilia or your subject matter so that you can use those items in the collage. Okay. Any questions on today's kind of topics or what we're going to go over and talk about? No questions. Okay. So moving forward, this week, your packages are going to be mailed tomorrow, which is January 25th. I think they should be arriving in 2 to 3 days. So I'm hoping that by Friday, everybody will receive their parcel post box. So if you live in an apartment building, please be on the lookout for it. Maybe even leave a nice little note for your mailman that you're expecting a parcel post box. It's going to be packed with lots of items, and I'm going to show you the items in a minute. Okay. So January 31st, you will have your boxes. We're going to talk about cutting out collage items. We're going to work on layout, which is laying those collage items onto your boards, and basic gluing, right? Moving objects around and talking about composition and background layers, right? Also use of color based on color palette of collage items. February 7th, we'll look at photography as a collage material, including found photos, family photos, or maybe even tracing some photos, which is a technique that I really like to use, where I actually use tracing paper as overlays, and I trace even text, font, imagery, stuff from books, or even portraits. February 14th, which is a Valentine's Day, we might have to have a little love theme on that day. Maybe work with all of this nice red paint that I bought everybody. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I did buy 3 bottles, not 1, not 2, but 3 bottles of red paint and different shades of red. I don't know why, but anyway, maybe because Valentine's Day was right in the middle of our class session. I'm not sure. Okay, so February 14th, we are going to work on printmaking. Everybody is going to get this lovely jelly plate print making material in their packets, and we are going to learn how to use that. February 24th, we're going to do more printmaking and possible making of your own collage materials. February 28th, we're going to be painting on top of the collage, drawing and mark making on the layers, practicing color combinations, and also adding the walnut ink, which everybody's going to get in their box. March 7th, we're going to talk about 3D texture. That's adding three-dimensional objects into the collage. So that's things that are not flat, right? So it's any kind of little like trinkets or ribbons or bows or lace or jewelry, anything like that that we can add, maybe aluminum foil, things that we find around the home that you might want to include in your collages. March 14th, we're going to do finishing touches to the collages, maybe a special topic. March 21st, everybody is going to have the opportunity to share their work. Okay, so we'll divide the session up into 5 or 10 minute slots, and everybody will have the opportunity to be the keynote speaker and talk about what collage techniques they enjoyed learning and how their pieces, and talk about how their pieces turned out. Okay. The end of the project is going to be one large piece. It's going to be a collaborative group piece, a large panel that includes the one panel donated from each of the artists that I will combine and adhere together, right? And that's going to happen at the end. So we'll figure out how I'm going to get those pieces of artwork from you. Okay, here is our supply list. I'm going to read out the items that I'm sending you in the parcel post box, and then I'm going to show them to you each individually. So I'm giving you guys paintbrushes, foam paintbrushes, a pad of newsprint, 5 hard boards, a bottle of PVA glue. I think it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 bottles of craft paint. Woohoo! A jelly plate, yay, my favorite, a brayer, sandpaper, walnut ink, and a brand new pair of scissors. I think that's it. Okay. Wow. Yes, isn't that amazing? Thank you,
Yes.
Cfeva. Woohoo! I know, wait till you see all the fun stuff. It's awesome. These are additional items that if you can look around your house, or if you have these things, can you please pull them out for our next class session, which will be next Monday. If you have photos that you would like to use, maybe think about Xerox copying those photos, scanning those photos, or taking a picture of those photos and printing them out on a printer to use in the collages. Magazines, I love magazines. My favorite magazines is, of course, Vogue is my favorite magazine. I also like Vanity Fair, but Vogue is my favorite. I use Vogue exclusively for my artwork. Newspapers, if you have newspapers, they are wonderful for text or background material or anything that you want to be gray or light gray, right? Then we also have strings and things, which could include any types of lace, fabric, even pieces of old clothing, labels, cigarette packs, matchbooks, toy boxes, Christmas wrappings, birthday presents, old cards. I think somebody in the group had already mentioned possibly wanted to use some old cards, like letters or things that have been written to you or sent to you in the past.
Yes.
Okay, great. Scrapers. So does everybody know what I mean by a scraper? A scraper could be even a piece of cardboard, but it could be like a paint scraper. It could also be like a kitchen, like a butter, actually like a cheese knife, like anything sort of square with a flat edge on it. It could be like a wedge. It could just be a piece of cardboard that you cut off of a box.
Okay.
If anybody wants to use, if anybody wants to use X-Acto knives for their cutting instead of scissors, you can. I didn't want to supply them because they're so sharp.
What is that?
What's an X-Acto knife?
What does it look like?
It looks like a sharper, it's like a more precise way to cut. I mean, I cut fine with scissors and I don't like my lines to be too sharp, but this is an X-Acto knife. It's like a sharpened tool used
Oh, okay.
for cutting, precision cutting. Generally, my cutting is more like loose. Okay, and then the last thing, oh, look, I misspelled that word. The last thing I have on here was found objects. And again, those found objects could be tiny little plastic toys. They could be bells. They could be buttons. They could be little flowers. They could be sequins, glitter, any type of like embellishment or small objects that you might think are important. Like, I don't know about your house, but my house has a couple drawers and I call them the mystery drawers. And everything that's sort of too small to go anywhere else goes into those drawers. So there could be something in those drawers that might be interesting or, decorative to add to your collages. I did put on the list a hot glue gun. I'm not expecting you to have a hot glue gun, but if you're very interested in the 3-dimensional aspects of the collage work, a hot glue gun is a great tool to have. It was a little bit outside my budget to buy everybody a hot glue gun, but you can also use Elmer's glue or PVA glue instead of the hot glue gun. You don't need to have a hot glue gun. Does that make sense? But if you want it, you can use it. Okay. Any questions on the schedule? Now, you guys can take a picture of this, or I can send it, I can try to email, I'll definitely email it to Edwina so she has a copy of it and maybe she can email it to everybody. But when we start each class, I'll go back to the calendar and I'll say, hey, today's January 31st. We're focusing on cutting. For this class, you'll need your scissors and paper, your boards and your glue, right? So just to give you a heads up for next week. All right.
Okay. Yeah, you can send it to me, Leanne.
Okay, I'll send it to you. Okay.
All right.
All right. Did we lose Hamina? Are you still here? Are you?
Yep, I'm still
Oh,
here.
you're there. Okay, great. Okay, so Hamina and I both have little slideshows for you. I guess you want to go first, Hamina? I have I think I have your slideshow somewhere. Do you want me to put here? I'll present your slideshow. Let's see.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, so Hamina prepared this slideshow for you, and then I also prepared one. So here is Hamina's. It's super cute. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. So here I am. I'm the teacher, Hamina. Do you want to say hello to everybody, Hamina?
Yeah, I can introduce myself. I don't know if anyone can see me since you're presenting, but
Wait, I think I can make you. Hold on one second.
We can see you.
Hold on.
I see your pretty face.
All right.
Okay. Wait.
All right.
Wait, I'm gonna pin you. Hold on.
Okay.
There she is.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jimena Perez. I am a junior studying art history at Albion College, that's in Michigan. So I'm here in Philly actually because I am doing a program. It's called the Philadelphia Center program. And so essentially what they do is that they give students an opportunity to have an internship and, be able to explore the workforce that they're interested in. And so I decided to do my internship with Cfeva, which is how I got connected with Leah, and then I'm able to be here with all of you. And so essentially, I'm hoping to, in the future, hopefully be a museum curator or a museum director. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
All right.
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. That was beautiful.
Thank
All
you.
right. Oh, and before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and pin myself. You guys let me forget. I got all excited about talking about art. So let me go ahead and show you. Can everybody see my table here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show you. Well, actually, I feel like I'm a QVC salesperson. This is the bottle of glue we're going to get. Let me see. It didn't. Wait, spotlight for everybody. I'm going to spotlight. Remove all. Okay. I'm going to be the QVC sales girl. So this is the PVA glue. This is my favorite glue. This is an archival bookbinding glue. So I don't care if you have glue sticks at home and you want to use glue sticks. I'm going to teach you how to use PVA glue. I used to use for all my collage and art making a glue called Yes Paste. I don't use that anymore because I found out over the years that Yes Paste is water soluble. So what that means is that humidity affects it. And you guys know in Philadelphia, it's very humid in the summer. I was finding that some of my collages were letting go, like the glue was coming up over years. So I've been very happy with the PVA glue. If I'm doing larger pieces, like larger than 11 by 14, I might buy some wood glue. Has anybody ever used wood glue before?
Yeah, yes.
So I might mix the wood glue and the PVA glue together 50-50 if I'm using, you know, bigger pieces of paper and making very large artworks, which I do a lot of the time. I make like 30 by 40 or very large works of art. And when I go that big with the collage, I like to add the PVA and the wood glue together. Okay, you are also going to get a set of paintbrushes. The handles were a little bit longer than I expected, but these are lovely brushes. We will talk about each of the brushes in terms of what they're good for. I am a rectangular brush painter, right? So these are my favorites. I like the square or rectangular brushes. These brushes are, of course, are better for making a line or drawing a curved line because of the point and the shape of the point. These brushes, of course, are better for straight line or blending. And you'll hear me talk a lot in this class of the next couple weeks about blending lines. So these rounder ones are going to be if you want to do something swirly. And these are going to be, of course, if you want to do something a little bit more linear or up and down or blending. Okay, so you're going to get all 6 of these brushes.
Wow.
These are wonderful acrylic. They can be used for acrylic or watercolor. So just remember, or glue, right? So all of these materials that we're going to use in this class are water soluble, which means that they are easy to clean up with soap and water. So we can talk a little bit about cleanup and some of the things that I do. I use either dishwashing soap to clean my brushes or just even a little bit of hand bar soap. And what I'll do is I'll put the brush on the bar and rub it and then wash it in the water. I'm going to give you foam brushes. I'm going to give you 4 foam brushes. 2 of them are going to be 3 inches and 2 of them are going to be 1-inch brushes. I use these for everything also. I told you I like square and rectangular brushes. I like the foam brushes because they're very inexpensive and I can wash them easily. I love them for gluing. So these are my friends for gluing. So I use them a lot with the glue to put the glue on the back of the papers that I'm going to glue to the collage. And I also paint with them. So they're super brushes and they last a long time. So you're going to get 2 3 inches and 2 1-inch brushes. You're going to get a brand new pair of scissors, lovely little Scotch scissors that are kind of pointy. Scissors can be great for cutting. They can also be good for mark making. They can also be good for punching holes in paper. So we're going to talk about different types of texture and things that we can do with scissors, right? So scissors can be an amazing tool. You're going to get the jelly plate. Like I told you, everybody's going to get a 5x7 jelly plate, and I'm going to teach you how to use it. This is a silk screen or screen printing device that we're going to be able to draw on, paint on, and we can use any of our photos, our newsprint paper, our tracing paper, and make prints with it, and then use those papers in the collages. And we can also do photo transfers with this jelly plate. I'm going to try on Zoom to teach you how to do transfers from magazine pictures with the jelly plate. So it's one of my favorite things. I hope you love it as much as I love it. And just FYI, jelly plates, this company, Jelly Plates, they are made in Philadelphia. This is a Philadelphia-based company, and they are local, and they make these awesome artist tools. So I really hope you're gonna like this. The brayer, has anybody ever used one of these? You're gonna get a brayer. It's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
We used that for the last class that we had.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I thought that was cool for ink printing, printing for ink and stuff like that.
Right, so I use the brayer, and I'm gonna teach a couple alternative painting techniques for you guys with the collage work. But I use the brayer to roll paint over the collages. We also are gonna use the brayer with the jelly plate to roll the paint on the jelly plate, and then basically what we do is we lift, right? So we're gonna put paint on the jelly plate, put paper on top of the jelly plate, and lift the paper, and then use those papers in our collages. So this is going to be super fun. We can also roll paint over top of our collage surfaces, which I also find to be very beautiful, because often we know that collage surfaces sometimes are not flat, they're uneven, which provides a uneven distribution of paint, which can be very beautiful, where sometimes it's darker and sometimes it's lighter, right? I'm also going to give you guys a pad of
Wow.
XL Canson newsprint, which is one of my favorite papers, right? So this to me is the ultimate collage paper because of its weight. It's very thin and lightweight. I can draw on it, I can print on it, I can trace on it, I can do a lot of things, and I can tear it easily, cut it easily, and assemble it onto my collages very nicely because of the weight. It's also really liberating, I think, to have a paper that's fairly inexpensive. Right? Because
Yes.
if you're using all these really expensive materials, I think that psychologically that inhibits you from having creative freedom, because you feel so burdened by, you know, the price of the material. Sometimes, I mean, not to say that it's better to use cheap materials, but sometimes it's nice to just feel like you can make a lot of work, try a lot of different collages, and not feel stressed out. Okay, so everyone's gonna get a full pad. The other thing
Wow.
you can do with your newsprint is that you can use it as a binder or a folder. So a lot of times what I do is I'll take an old letter or something and and I'll stick it in here, and I'll keep my materials in my newsprint pad. Right? So what that does is it helps flatten paper sometimes, and it helps me keep organized so that I have my collage materials at the end of the, you know, I can stick it in here and close it and keep it all together. So I also put sometimes wet work in the newsprint pad and use it as a blotter book too, if you're working like that. Okay. These are going to be your art boards. Okay. Everybody is getting 1, 2, 3, 5 art boards. Okay. So each week, you guys can decide. I mean, you could technically be working on all 5 at the same time. You could start 1 or 2 in the beginning and then start like 2 more. I tend to like to work on more than 1 piece at a time. Does anybody else like to do that? Anybody else like to work on more than 1 piece of art at a time?
No.
No, it really helps me, especially with collage, because if I have a surface that's very wet, I don't maybe want to add something else to it right away. So if I can have one that's wet, I can work on another one while that one dries. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also really want my group, you guys, to work like I work. I want to teach you my artist techniques that have helped me in my career path. So one of the things I do is I work in additions, and I work in small groupings of artworks that are connected, but not all the same, right? So that I feel like I'm making like a little family of art pieces, but I'm also not overworking one, because I'm spreading myself out over the 5 pieces. So I'll do a little bit on each one to build up to the final piece, right? So I don't feel like I have to overwork one get too crazy, I can just kind of do a little, do a little, do a little, and spread myself out more evenly. Okay, that works very well for my temperament. One of these pieces is going to need to come back to me to be part of the collaborative piece, right? You do not need to decide in the beginning which piece is going to be donated to the collaboration. When we get closer to the end, we can either talk about it, or you can make a decision based on your strongest piece, or maybe your least favorite piece. I'm not going to like dictate that. You guys can decide which piece you would like to contribute to the group piece, okay? So you will be left with 4 and I get 1 back, all right? Deal? Okay. And the last thing that you're all gonna get, look at this, it's gonna be so fun. Look, so these are my, I'm in love. I discovered these probably during COVID, but I don't know why. I love the small bottles of craft paint, okay?
Yeah, I do.
I love the small bottles of craft paint.
Yeah.
I'm like addicted to them. I don't ever want to buy a big bottle of paint again in my life. I just like these small little bottles. I like to like use a couple drops. I like to mix them together. So I really got you guys a lot of fun colors. I think I got you 16 different colors. I got pink, red, blue, orange, purple. I did get a white and I did get a black. Okay, so we will talk about mixing colors to make pretty paint colors. We'll also talk about maybe working in color combos, like what colors look good together. But here's all your little friends that are gonna come in your parcel.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a
Wow.
lot of paints. Is that so cute? Are you guys so excited?
Yeah.
Okay.
I usually use this size too. This
Oh, I
size is
love that size, right? Right, and we can talk too, we'll talk about alternative painting styles. So like one of the fun things that I really enjoy doing with paint is like cutting up a sponge and painting with the sponge, especially on a collage, right? Because it's gonna be like a little bit of texture, it can be very light, you can kind of almost like using a stamper. So we'll talk about these things. Okay, any questions on the supplies? These are all water soluble, easy to clean up. Oh, the last thing I didn't tell you. Okay, so this is one of my favorite collage materials. And I got everybody a bottle of walnut ink.
What is it?
It's walnut ink.
Yeah.
So this is a really super fun way to, if anybody wants to make something that looks old, right? Like if we wanted to take like a photocopy of a photo, and if it turns like black and white, but we want it to look old, we can add a little bit of a wash at the walnut ink and make it kind of brownish. We can also splatter it and we can also write with it. Okay, so I'm going to teach a whole lesson on walnut ink techniques. Okay, and they're going to be really fun for everybody. Okay, and I think that's it. I think that's, and I'm going to give everybody a couple little pieces of sandpaper, which is also one of my favorite collage materials, because sometimes when I glue a bunch of layers, I like to go back over the top and sand them so that they're smooth or that they have a little bit of textured surface to them. So I'm going to give everybody a couple pieces of sandpaper. All right, so your boxes are going to go out tomorrow in the mail. Everybody who is here, I have your address, as we talked on the phone last week, and so we should be good. Okay, any questions about art materials?
No, it seems like it's really, you covered everything.
Okay, good. Hi, Lynette, welcome.
Hi.
How are you? So I was just going over, I'm sorry, I was not able to mail the art materials in time for today because I got a big box of the paint on Saturday. So everybody's boxes are going to go in the mail tomorrow. So you will get it this week. Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Great. Okay, great. All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have one quick question.
Yeah.
For next week, then for the at-home materials, do you want all of them for next week as well?
So
To have
no,
them ready?
so the at-home materials on the list that I gave you are optional. I'm never going to expect or teach a class outside of the materials that I give you. Does that make sense? I'm not going to teach anything, but if you, I mean, I can suggest things that you could do with the hot glue gun. I can suggest things that you could do 3-dimensional. I might show you quickly, but I'm going to try to stick to the materials that I provided because that way I know we can stay together as a group. I would like you to start to really focus on your theme, which we're going to talk about when we look at people's artwork, and maybe collecting, you know, starting to collect. Like, I think when I spoke to people on the phone, I said, maybe get a shoe box or a cardboard box and go around your house and pick some items that you'd like to put in your collages and just start putting them in the box, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Also, you're going to need an area at home to work because you're not with me in my studio. You're not with me at the art center. You're going to need a surface to work, and maybe you're going to need something to cover a table, right? So you can start thinking about that too. Like, where in your home are you going to do the work? And are you going to leave it set up there for the next 10 weeks? Or are you going to have to set it up, clean it up? You know, you guys can start to think about how that's going to work for you. You're definitely going to be a little bit messy. Okay. I gave you 16 bottles of paint. I gave you some paintbrushes. I gave you a jelly plate. I gave you a brayer. I gave you a lot of stuff. So you might be a little messy. So you could think about covering a table with a trash bag. That's a good idea. If you have one of those disposable tablecloths, they usually sell them at like the dollar store. You could put those over a table, you know, so you don't have to spend your time washing the table, right? So you could just use it each week for class. But I'd like you to make sure that everybody has an area. And I also want you guys to be like working with me when I'm working, right?
Okay.
So if everybody can be set up and have their art materials so that we can all work together, I think that would really work the best for everybody. Okay.
Mm.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and switch gears right now. We have a few minutes left. I don't know where our hour went. But here are some more things just to get you excited about the class in general. Hamina's put together a little collage as an art form slideshow. So let me just go. Okay, so the first frame, table of contents. What is a collage? Some collage artists, and then artworks. So what exactly is a collage? Art form that combines different materials, a technique, and the resulting work. It can include pieces of paper, colored or textured, fabric, photographs, etc. It is definitely a type of mixed media. Collage artists that you picked out are Deborah Roberts, who's an African-American artist who was born in Texas in 1962. Her art practice takes on social commentary, critiquing perceptions of ideal beauty, right? So that's a topic. I think we have mostly women in this class. That's a topic that we could all discuss, is the pressures of feeling beautiful, feeling okay in our bodies, dealing with our body types, dealing with mass media, over body issues, right? So making collages full of color and juxtaposed entangled bodies was her approach, right? I'm gonna show you pictures of her work too. And then Hannah Hock was the other artist that you chose. She was a German artist born in 1889. Throughout her artwork, Hock challenged the marginalized position of women in the 20th century. Her collage works often include text, right? Text and images. Okay. So, oh, and then you put Matisse in here. That's great. And then Henri Matisse, or Henri Matisse, French artist born in 1869. He is known for his use of color and original draftsmanship. Matisse was a draftsman, a printmaker, sculptor, and a painter. He was considered a 20th century artist, used color as the foundation for expressive, decorative, and often monumental painting. Okay, so I'm assuming this is the first artist whose name was Deborah Roberts, right?
Yep, that's correct.
So Deborah Roberts is on the left, right? And she
Yeah.
collaged the kids' faces together.
Uh-huh.
She put them in their prison jerseys, right? And white background,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. And then this is what's her name? Hawk.
Yeah.
What was her Hilda? Hannah Hawk. So she looks like she used all types of imagery, very heavily overlaid, like on top of each other, very busy. All kinds of imagery of people and machines. They look like mostly machines. Right?
Yeah, a lot of her work happened because of kind of like a reaction that a lot of artists had for World War One.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how I think it's called, it's the Dada or Dada art movement.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's why you can see a lot of like kind of like that type of material or content in her work.
Right. And her color palette is blue and brown and gray. Whereas the other artist's color palette is like black and white, but then with very strong pop of color, which I really like. I really like the minimalist color palette and the beauty of their like confused faces, kind of like uncertain identity, and then those very like colorful hats. I really like that. So two really different collage styles. And then this is a Matisse, right? So
Yeah.
this is gouache on paper, cut and pasted, and charcoal, right? So it's drawing and collage. And his works I find them just very abstract, like pleasing to the eye, not directly associated to any content or specific people, right? Or identity. Okay. Very nice little slideshow. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
I have another slideshow that I wanted to show you guys. I made up this morning, and I called it Collage as Art, Personal Collage as a Memory of Life. And I wanted to read you guys a quote that I found today because I thought it might get everybody inspired to sort of go down this road with me and make this work that inspires you. And it's called Let the Memory Be. And it says, memories play tricks on us. The past is not a faithful record. It is a mythology, a vast blank territory where even the most important memories in life are gradually erased. If we don't remember exactly, maybe we can make them up. So I thought that was really beautiful because I think people, like, we always try to like think back or think about our lives and put like specific meaning on things that happened. But I don't know about most of you, but since COVID happened, I feel like I just want my life to be peaceful, and fluid. I want to be comfortable. I think about like less about important details or events. I think more about just how I feel and feeling safe and comfortable and wanting to be less narrative, like more easygoing on the facts, right? Like more peaceful. So I did want to show you two of my favorite collage artists. And you guys know, I think I told you this when I first met you, is that my background is in photography. So both of these people that I'm going to show you are what we call photojournalists. So they're using their own photographs to tell stories about travel and foreign countries, right? But you could seriously do the same style, like write about yourself, right? You could be like, your house could be a foreign country to somebody else. Like you can kind of switch the role play.
You better behave.
Yeah, tell that kitty to behave. Yeah, you better behave, kitty. Okay, so this is a young man whose name is Dan Eldon. And do you see how here, like he used pictures of the animals in the environment where he was. And he also used maps, right? So he used a map of where he actually was as the background for the collage.
Mhm.
Here's some more of his collage art where he used words and mixed media. So when I say mixed media, he used writing, pictures. Dan also used a lot of like candy wrappers and food packaging, right? So those are some really good materials to use to sort of describe your existence. Like, you know, a good way to describe the pandemic was when everybody couldn't find toilet paper and paper towels, right? So like using toilet paper and paper towels in your art could describe, you know, sort of the conditions of what we were focused on, you know, like why can't we get some basic supplies? But even like what you're eating or, you know, what you're reading, what you're thinking about, these types of narrative descriptions are very important to how your life is going and could be very interesting to somebody else. I'm going to teach everybody how to hand color photographs. So if you guys, does everybody, I love this piece at the top left. I'm going to teach everybody how to hand color photographs. So that's a possibility if you want to make Xerox copies of your photos and then.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that one too, the top one. Yeah, I really
Yep.
like that. Yeah. And that reminds me a little bit of like pop art, like Andy Warhol.
Yep.
But it's very beautiful. I actually really like the one at the bottom too with the, it sort of looks like a photograph, but then it also looks like a drawing.
Mhm.
And I like
Yeah.
how they collage the things on his jacket, you know, like on his shirt and his neck piece.
So
Okay.
great.
So that's, his name is Dan Eldon.
Oh,
And,
I like that.
and this, I'm really going to teach you guys how to do this. I mean, this might be one of our signature pieces and styles because we're going to use the brayer, right? We're going to be able to make patterns and textures on the collages. And I like the repetition of the images, you know, the girls at the bottom twice. So yeah, I really like this one too.
That's nice.
You like that one?
Yep.
Okay. Then my other favorite collage artist is a guy whose name is Peter Beard. And he lived in Africa. He was a British guy. He lived in Africa and he photographed the people and his and around him and the environment. So, I mean, his subject matter was just so beautiful. I mean, he photographed wild African animals and tribal people and, you know, nature and landscapes. But then he would put them together in these beautiful collections of drawings, paintings, writings. And again, it's like, I like the way he made it like a frame, like he put the biggest picture, one big picture in the center, and then lots of little pictures around it to kind of give it more. Then he also painted this hand here. These are another one.
Wow.
Example of his work. And this is like, I really want everybody to feel like they can use images of different sizes together. So big images with small images. And then I think he even overlaid like seeds and little bits of plants in here and some animal skin. I think this might be a snake skin right here that he put in there. So you really get the feeling of what it's like to be where he's at. Does that make sense? It's kind of like, so one of the things that artists sometimes make art with too is like spices or herbs from the kitchen. So if you're like a cook or you like to use herbs or dried herbs or flowers, you can definitely use glue to also adhere that type of material to your collages. And here's two more of Peter Beard's artworks.
What's that, Elizabeth Taylor?
Yeah, he was friends with famous people. He knew a lot of famous actresses and actors, and they would come to visit him at his home in Africa, and he would photograph them. I know. Yep. He worked with a lot of very famous models too, but I love this picture on the left so much. I mean, it's just so beautiful. And
It's almost like, yeah, it's like a book,
it's
like pages in a book.
yeah, the one on the right is journal pages. The one on the left is like a painting. Yeah. So yeah, he did journal art, which is something that I do also. So maybe this class will also inspire you to do some journaling, but not necessary. You can just work on the panels too. Okay, so that's all I have for sharing today. I successfully got all our art supplies together and they're gonna go in the mail tomorrow. And I think that's it for today. Does anybody have anything, questions or comments? Anything about the artwork we showed you?
Now, the recording of this particular one,
Mhm.
can we see this on YouTube?